James, let's pivot from DUI for just a second. I know that's kind of the topic of the show, but while you're here, I'm going to pick your brain about criminal defense stuff. And what's another big crime that you see that is on a frequent basis? And to me, it would be like a domestic violence issue where people seem to want to talk themselves out of a problem and they just make it worse. And then the next thing you know, they're behind bars in the jail, and something escalated to a point to where it probably could have been avoided.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the holidays seem to, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and things like that, and a lot of them, unfortunately, are sometimes alcohol-fueled, not all, but, you know, there is a correlation a lot of times from what I see based on those type of things.
But I mean, so, you know, you talk about domestic violence. I mean, that's a very, very, very serious issue. It's a very sensitive issue. And, you know, law enforcement takes those type of crimes very, very serious, because years ago when I used to be a public defender and we would work hand in hand, we would see some of the profile-ish type cases of why somebody has to leave the facility, or not a facility, leave the home or the residence, because something bad can happen later, it seems like. And, you know, you never want that situation to, hey, I could have avoided this if I'd just taken he or her home, or taking them away and enforce, you know, instead of just saying, hey, okay, you guys cool it, and all of a sudden something tragic happens.
Right, and that's a lot of the concern with law enforcement, and especially, you know, those type of situations. They don't want to be the one that sat there and went ahead and left the scene, and then something bad happens at that point.
Right.
And that's why, unfortunately, nowadays you see almost somebody taking a ride to jail at that point. And it's more of to ensure a cooling off period for sure, okay? Granted, there has to be some type of probable cause. They're not going to, just because nothing happened, just because it was a verbal argument, there needs to be some type of physical contact for the elements to be met for them to actually make an arrest. But they're going to err on the side of caution a lot of times, you know, and it's understandable because, you know, they don't want to be that 1% where something bad happens later on.
Now, a domestic violence, that's a misdemeanor charge, but those can also elevate and graduate to something more serious as well, right?
All you need is a subsequent battery charge, and it can be charged as a felony.
Okay.
Yes. And that's, you know, so you're looking at a third-degree felony at that point, punishable up to 5 years in prison.
Yeah. So simple domestic violence battery gets elevated with another battery charge, and all of a sudden now you could be a convicted felon, and whether you're not getting along with your boyfriend, or your boyfriend's not getting along with you, or husband, wife, or brother, sister, friend, or whoever it may be, and you know, there's nothing wrong with walking away.
Right, and that's what you try to diffuse the situation. You know, try to, like you said, walk away, walk around the block, stay gone for a while, let things cool, let things simmer.
Or walk outside right now with your shirt off.
I mean,
my goodness, it's a little chilly outside, but you know, I mean, you think about that, and there's a lot of times that you don't have to respond just because somebody, or you don't have to react just because somebody says something to you. You know, you don't have to respond because you get yourself in a situation, and then all of a sudden an issue between, let's just say you and I, now the cops are involved, now we've got another person foreseeing this. And I think, you know, at least with my time at the public defender's office, what individuals did not appreciate is once you get placed on probation to resolve a crime, to save you and prevent you and help you from going to jail, you know, and letting you be a member of society, people don't appreciate that now you've got the court system and judges and probation officers, somebody looking over your every move, making sure that you're doing what you should just be doing anyways. You know, and so there's been a lot of cases, and this has been, you know, almost 20 years ago for me, that you would see individuals that just cannot help themselves in making dumb, bad decisions, and they're decent people just doing stupid stuff, and they can't get out of that cycle.
No, and
if they would have just walked away.
Yeah.
You know,
and I understand when you're involved in it and the emotions are there, it becomes a lot harder. You know, to be sitting back and looking from the sidelines, so to speak, you know, now it's football season, we're in the playoffs, you know, it is a little easier to be Monday quarterbacking and going, look, you know, why couldn't you just do this and do that? Right. You know, when you're not there, and the other part too is when you're dealing with family, the old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. You know, when you've been exposed repeatedly over, it does wear you. It does not justify the action, okay, but it does wear you over time.
And, you know, people are competitive. They want to have the last word. They want to win. They want to win the arguments. They want to win the conversation. So sometimes you can win the conversation or win the issue or the argument just by walking away.
Yeah.